Yeah.
I remember my first drink with him. I couldn't do any of that stuff in front of him.
Right.
Even though I saw him doing it, I just had enough respect for him not to do it in front of him.
Yeah.
But when that day came to where we can sit down as men and have a conversation together.
What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining us again this week. Welcome to Manhood Matters. We're having conversations around challenges dominating a man's journey through life. These topics are explored by real, everyday friends with a lot of experience. And we have the occasional expert guest. Let's get it. So today, I'm glad you guys are back. Thank you for being here, guys. Thanks again. With dads that are loving and not afraid to show it.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I said, my dad had the biggest Napoleon complex in the world. I swear I could kick anybody's ass because I get it from my dad. I can't, but I swear I can.
Yeah.
Right? And it's my mindset. I don't back down because my dad's been a little dude and I think he's had to prove himself his whole life. And if you hear him, you get scared because his voice is so loud and it's like, so that's all I ever needed to be disciplined. My dad never hit me. Now I grew up in a time where I was, my mom whooped my ass a lot. My grandmother whooped my ass a lot. So there was normal belts,
switches,
punishment, switches, just all kinds of shit, right? I got beat with everything. Man, I got beat with everything, right? At some point it was damn near abuse,
Right.
But my dad,
is this
I remember,
legal to whoop like this?
You know what I'm saying? My dad never used anything and never hit me. My dad hit me once. And it wasn't like a beating. It was one pat on my butt as kind of like cherry on top after my mother had whooped me. And he walked in the room. He was like, "What do you do?" And she was like, "Oh, he lied about school," or something like that. And he was like, "Bow." And I was like, and that was it.
Yeah.
But he never needed to because all I ever needed was fear of disappointing him, fear of him ever like having to do that.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't that with him. So it was, the discipline was, again, we talked about this earlier, the reverse psychology. It was always, my dad would put me down a lot. He would say certain things that felt sharp and horrible and that would hurt. Yeah. And I was like, well, if that's how he feels, I haven't even done anything. Yeah. Imagine I do something, just how bad that would be. Right?
Yeah.
And I grew up in a very aristocratic type family, right? It was about the name. It was about who you are. Your name carried a lot of weight. If you're in Haiti at the time and you are this last name, in fact, you couldn't go to certain households, certain people's homes. If I went to the Barnes household, his mother and father would vet who I am by saying, "What's your last name?" I couldn't just be Steph.
Yeah.
"What's your last name?"
Yeah.
"Alexandre." "Oh, okay, I know your family. You're good." Shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a whole other episode because these motherfuckers are super prejudiced in their own ways. Yeah, a lot. So I couldn't, I think I just couldn't disappoint. I needed to do better and do better and do better and do better. And I just couldn't disappoint. Like in school, for example, I could not afford, and we'd have like 40 kids in the classroom, right? I went to a grade school with 40 kids per classroom on average. Haitians don't give a fuck. They don't care about hurting your feelings. They ranked the kids in the school, right? From first to last.
Oh my God.
So it's not just about it's
like a pickup ball.
Yeah,
pickup game.
they will rank you.
Sorry, dog,
so the person who gets his report card first, they go, "All right, 42 out of 42. Chuck Barnes, come get your report card." Like, you're a fucking idiot. The whole class knows it. You're about to get your ass whooped when you get home. And basically, their mindset was, we're going to beat your ass into being smart, right? Yeah. So I had a limit. My grandmother and my dad pretty much set this. It was, you cannot be anywhere outside of the top 5 in your class. That's pretty much it, right?
Right.
Just to give myself a little room for that margin of error, I'd make sure I'd never pass the top 3. Right, because I would work really, really hard. Because God forbid I end up in 6th place.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? And the report card gave the number. It said you're first in class, 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever. Right.
Oh wow.
And I'd go home to that every day.
And I get my ass whooped every day.
Bro, I would come back with being 2nd, 3rd, or whatever it is. Yeah. And I would never get a compliment from my dad or saying, "Good job, you did well." Nothing but A's. But he would always say, instead of like, "Well, great job," whatever, it was like, "Well, I was always first."
That's what he would give you.
It wasn't, that's what I retorted. And I was always first, never second. So basically, and what I'm saying is his style of disciplining me was put you down as much as possible so you can work yourself out of that hole so you can impress more.
Sure.
So
did it always
like,
make you want to be number one?
At some point, it made me want to stop trying. What it did was I needed to make sure that, because again, there was corporal punishment, you know, where I grew up. So I was like, well, I don't want to get my ass beat. So I'm going to do just enough.
Top 5.
Yeah, top 5. I got to fit in there somewhere, but that's pretty much it. But I wasn't thinking I need to be number one. When I got older, I started thinking I need to be better than my dad at everything. Right. I surpassed him in certain things, not in all aspects. I didn't do that in sports, for example, in soccer, for example. But I did it in music. You know, what I've accomplished in music, he's never touched. So there's things that I had done that I felt good about. Yeah. And why I got to it in life, I felt like, well, success, my family, things like that. I got there. You didn't get there. So, you know, so they were, beat you. Yeah, beat you at that, you know. But it always stuck with me, right? His style of discipline was like, you tell your son, you're not good enough. And if he does something exceptional, you tell him, well, when I was your age, I did much better. It got to the point where even when parents were getting divorced, he said his parents got divorced when he was 7. And I never forgot this. My dad told me when I was 14, he goes, if I was your age, when my parents were divorcing, they would not have divorced.
Why would you say that?
Yeah.
That I didn't step in to save the marriage.
That's not fair, bro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Again, it was putting you down as much as possible.
Wow.
And then in a way, in a very twisted, weird type of way, he would explain later how it was because I loved you, because I wanted you to do better. And it kind of worked in a way, but it kind of fucked me up for a long time. Yeah. Right? So I was like, and we played chess. And the only time I beat that motherfucker in chess, he never played me again. So there's that. Yeah, he got mad. I was like, bro.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, but what was your, I want to ask you, Willie, because, you know, obviously our fathers are totally opposite, right? So how did he discipline you, and what do you remember the most?
Man, I remember one ass whooping. My dad, now,
that's a good way to start.
But my mother did it more. So if he did it, I really fucked up. You know, so one time, you know, and I was badass. I was 10 or 11, maybe 12. I stole the car.
Wow.
GTA over here. I stole the whole car. You know, he taught me how to drive when I was like 8. You know,
on Nash Road. It's a dirt road out there, baby.
Dirt road. And so it was so exciting. We had a paved road, and then Nash Road was a dirt road. So I was always eager. We coming to the paved road. I mean, the rocky road. I said, Dad, you know, can I drive? And he would always put me in his lap. He'd do the pedals and stuff, and I'd do the steering wheel. You know, so that was always a highlight of going to Mississippi. So, and I used to always watch their feet when they was driving, and that's really how I learned how to drive. Then I started washing the cars, hence mobile detailing. I get to drive the car to the cove, and I can come back around or whatever. So I knew how to drive early. So me and my cousin, he'll come to town or whatever for the summer from Mississippi, and I would take the car, you know.
Where were you going, though? That's the question everybody wants to know.
Yeah, Southland Mall.
Okay.
You know, I've always hung around older.
That's not close.
I know.
I know. I was popping back then.
Yeah, you know.
And how old were you when this happened?
Like 11 or 12.
How did you not get stopped? Oh, get to that part of the story.
I did eventually.
Sorry, you got to let him finish, brother. You know it's coming. We got to hear it.
So, I mean, going to see girls and everything, I started messing off with girls very early. That was another problem.
Yeah.
Another thing I would tell younger people.
Yeah.
Don't get into that, because that really fucked me up.
Yeah.
You know, you know, because it took me off my studies and stuff.
That's right.
I was totally safe. Go ahead.
I concur with you about that.
I saw zero action for a long time.
Man,
me too.
That's the button message.
Yeah, I lost my virginity way too early.
Oh, Lord.
But anyway, going to the mall, hanging out. So one day, I was riding through the neighborhood. A friend of my parents saw me, called my mom, and this is how I did it. They had a car that they never drove. Okay, so they were at work one night. The night before they went to work, I took the keys to that car off the key ring. I knew my mom would never miss because they didn't drive the car, and it was one of the cars that they like drove on a Sunday. His nice car.
Oh,
it was a Cadillac sedan DeVille. It was midnight
Shit
blue.
was not the best car, dog.
Yeah, the best car. The best car. It was midnight blue with a white rag top on it. Man, my daddy loved that car.
Yes,
the crushed
sir.
velvet seats on the inside. Man, I got
Hope
in
it
that
didn't have
car.
white walls.
They had the Vogue tires on it.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
man.
I could feel the ass whipping right now.
Yeah.
man.
I think I would whoop you.
Exactly. So, I make a long story short, I get home. My mama's sitting in the driveway. She parked the car somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling in the driveway thinking I made it. She's sitting on, we had a little bench right in the carport. I pulled in and she was sitting there. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, man, that's the worst.
I started to get back in the car. I mean, started to hit reversing.
Again, where are you going? That's the
Man.
question. Again, where you go?
So, man, she whooped my ass from me getting out the car all the way in the house.
Man.
Okay, made me take my clothes off once I got in. So, I'm in my drawers, getting, what shit out? You too big. You go tear my shit up. Come on outside. So we went outside. I got whooped in the backyard. So my dad came home, and all he said to me was, "Get ready." Oh, man. And at this point, my mama got scared. She's like, Nash, I already whooped him. Don't whoop him.
Wait, that's so cool. Wait a second. She calls him Nash?
Nash.
How dope is that?
Yeah.
How dope is that?
Nash.
I'm telling my wife to start calling me Alexandre.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? I like the way that rolls off your tongue, man.
And,
Okay.
man, and he hit me with a buckle. He didn't care. So what he would do is he would hold his hand out.
Yeah.
I would have to hold on to his.
Oh, you have to assist in the ass whooping. I see.
So this is my ass here. My face is facing this way, and he bam, bam. And if I let go, he whooped me longer. That was the worst, and that was the last. That was the last
so
ass
graphic,
whooping.
yeah.
Yeah.
But did you give him the Denzel one tear? Just look at him and just give him that one tear.
The glory?
The glory tear.
The glory
tear.
Man,
Oh, my goodness.
that was the worst whooping. So even in that, there was love there because as he was, and it's weird that I say that because
I'm glad you
Hey,
know.
brother, I understand. I know where you're going.
Because as he was whooping me, he was saying stuff like, "We try to have something nice for you. Anything could have happened to you while you're out here driving the car. You could have killed somebody. You could bam, bam." And I'm like, a couple of years later, after I started thinking about what he was saying, it was true.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't think about what jeopardy I put myself in, the family in, or somebody else's family. But to me, I was rolling.
Man.
I was rolling. I was
And
good.
your Cadillac,
In
bro.
a Cadillac.
Southern playlist.
You know what I'm saying? I stole my mom's Geo Metro. And when she came outside and saw me, I kept driving.
You kept
I was
driving?
like, nope. I'm going to keep driving.
Yeah, that's what I
you
wish
might
I
as well-
could have did.
Yeah.
Like
But I
house
knew
party.
it
You
was
knew he was
over.
going to get in trouble. Keep going. House
Yeah.
party.
So discipline style for you, Jabari. Like,
Oh, yeah,
what
my
was
mom.
his style?
My mom
was-
gave it to me.
So not your dad.
No.
His style was just like
He wasn't there.
until later on when you were a teenager.
So I remember there was one time, I think he was watching us, and I broke like a glass bottle in the backyard. And my dad was like, "Okay, go in the house, get a dictionary."
Dictionary.
Dictionary, what?
Yeah.
He was like, "All right, how many letters in the word break?" I was like, B-R-E-A. 5. He's like, "All right, you're about to get 5.
5 licks. Dang. Oh, snap.
Yep. So, but no, my mom was a main disciplinarian.
Yeah.
But I remember, so I started getting, got into martial arts, and my mom was like 5'1", and I was taller than her. But moms, it doesn't matter how tall you are, right? And for whatever reason, like she went to hit me, and I was probably like 13, 14. She went to hit me,
You
and it's
blocked.
instinctively I just like stepped back and I blocked.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then,
pulled up.
yeah, I stepped back and I blocked. And then like there was how back in the day you had the closets with the sliding glass doors on them.
Yeah.
I could see myself blocking, getting ready to attack my mom. And I think she might have seen it too.
Oh, man.
And then that's when I was like, all right. And that was the last time that she tried to hit me.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't hit her, but
Yeah.
You got in
Had to end
defense
with
mode.
that.
You was ready, huh?
Yeah, you better.
We both had that moment like,
I say, I'm about to roundhouse you.
Oh, God.
What about you, brother? What about you? 'Cause
Man,
Dad's been there with your whole life. So how did he discipline you?
Guys, I don't, they're not going out and whooping my ass all day and stuff. So I got different. I think the unit of them being together, and then they both talk to me terrified me. So that was how they disciplined me. They didn't. I would have to listen to both of them at the same time. They knew how it was like a team. And I was like, well, I ain't never seen no shit like this. It's like you got your dad whooping your ass and the mama at the same time, not hitting, but verbally speaking. And it was more powerful than getting my ass whooped. So they broke me down by explaining to why it's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I don't particularly have the stories, but I have lessons learned from them both speaking to me.
So no hidden.
Yeah. No, I mean, I got my ass whooped just like y'all. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, maybe I was a little bit smarter than y'all. I wasn't driving cars and shit. And fucking, you know what I'm saying, doing roundhouses and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, you know, I got whooped. You know what I'm saying? And they also identified at an age where, okay, well, I'm whooping him. It's time. It's you graduated from being whooped, and which I appreciate that, because some parents are just wild like that. Kid still whooping, and I believe in whooping, but it got to the point where it became more verbally, and they'd start telling me what's wrong and right, but it was more impactful to me that both of them were together doing it, and I ain't never heard nobody else. I'm like, why I got to go through this? You know what I'm saying? My sisters, I got 2 older sisters, same way. You know, they moved as a unit to discipline us. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a very powerful lesson in itself, right there.
Oh, dude, it's sometimes words are more impactful than
The
physical
actual whooping itself.
whooping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's how I do my children. I don't whoop them.
Yeah,
I have conversations with them.
absolutely.
You know, now I do. When they were smaller, they would get tapped. Or whatever.
They get popped.
They get popped. But daughter's 14. My son is 18. I stopped around 11 or 12.
Sure.
You know, and just start having conversations with them and telling them what the ramifications, what can happen if you do or you continue this type of behavior and stuff like that. So
I'm the same way with my 3 boys. When the time that I was in their lives, I didn't have to whoop them. It was it was almost that same kind of power. I was trying to do the unit with my ex-wife to both talk to him like that, but that's just not the personality. So when it came to me being a disciplinary guy, I would just give them the look. And even at that young age, they wanted the like I don't want to, disappoint my dad. So I never really whooped them like that. It was more or less like, I first off ask them like, what are you thinking? You know what I mean? And then I just say just simple stuff like, I'm very disappointed in you. Man, that shit break the motherfuckers down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and thank God of course, if they were doing some radical stuff, you need to get physical. You know what I'm saying? But thank God my children weren't like that. But I believe in corporal punishment. I believe in punishment. I think it's necessary. But if you can go the other route of just speaking to them and getting their perspective first, and then rationalize and then let them know how it impacted others and how it made me feel. I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's the way to go to discipline someone.
Well, let's talk about this real quick, because I've got one. Yeah. As you know, I've made my dad sound real horrible in a lot of ways.
Several segments of it.
In a lot of ways, as a father, as a husband, he really was. That's just the truth. It's just what it is. But I still love and admired my dad and still looked up to him, still wanted to be like him. It's still, was something. Every day that went by when I wasn't talking to him, it bothered me. Yeah. I would imagine, because I have a lot of scenarios where I imagine talking to him, even though when I wasn't, right? I have these scenarios where I'm introducing him to my wife, that he never met. I'm introducing him to my youngest daughter that he never met, right? Or he's visiting my house, because I know my dad would be proud of me. He shows up in my house. He'd be like, God damn, this is nice, things like that. And
what I said.
So I see things like that, down to like a car. He would show up and look at the certain technology in a car and be like, well, the shit drives itself. And I have all these memories of it, right? That I imagine and creative memories that they never existed. It's just, it was weird, because I was our relationship. And I remember one of my best memories of my father was, it's amazing, right? Like the little things, what it takes, right? When you do something for someone, like your children, right? what it takes to impact them and influence them that you don't even realize. So as much as possible, do good, do things that touch them in a way, right?
Yeah.
I had gotten my report card and it was the last day of school. I'm in Haiti. I'm like, I don't know, like 10 years old or whatever, right? Probably looking like I was 5 because this tall, right? And school was out and I had no clue he was picking me up, right? They hired a driver to pick me up and take me to school every day. And that one day, my dad was picking me up and I didn't know that. So school let out. Had I known, I probably would have walked like a regular person.
Yeah.
Because my dad was going to be around. But that day, school, I was like, man, I got my report card. We're about to be on vacation. I started running like a crazy person all throughout the schoolyard, like real fast. I'm just running. A bunch of kids are running. And next, you know, I was airborne. Right? My dad just picked me up. I ran right into him, not seeing him. And he just picked me up and threw me up, right? And that was like the sweetest moment. Because he was,
sweet.
he was like happy to see me, pick me up. And I was like, my dad picked me up, right? You know, so it was like so amazing. And that little memory, if you ask me what's the best memory of my dad, I don't have a lot to pull from, but I remember that little thing from when I was 10 years old. I don't have a whole lot, right? What are some of the best memories? If you can pull one or two of your dad, something that you recall to this day.
This is, you guys follow me with this. This is going to be kind of weird, but this is just how he was. He always wanted to please and satisfy his children, my sisters and I. So I was very at a young age. And as I'm saying this, my dad's probably already going to know what I'm about to say. We laugh about it all the time. So he made me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. All right. I was like, okay, he put the peanut butter right here and put the jelly right here. And so he slapped the peanut butter on top. And I said, no, man, no, I don't want I want the jelly on top. And he grabbed the sandwich and flipped it over, and we both looked at each other and we laughed hysterically.
That's awesome.
And I looked at him, I just looked down at at a young age where we had that moment. It's like, you really, he's doing all he can do for me. He's doing the best. And we had that moment of like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, y'all. So once again, shout out to Charles Barnes with the peanut butter and jelly. So he remembers that. I thought that was one of the funniest and good moments. The simplicity, again, the word simplicity of those little things that just made me just like, that's how I want to be with my children. That's how I want to be in life for people, just to please. And just the flip of the peanut butter that was on top flips it over. Look at him like,
I solved your problem.
I thought, like, yo, he's a genius. I'm like, how did he do that? It's crazy.
David Blaine out here.
But I was like, you're my hero, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that's one of the things that I thought was just awesome that he did for me.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Willie, I know you got 1 million.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, oh God, which one? Which one can I say?
Yeah.
But one thing,
you could do more than one.
Yeah. One thing I remember vividly, I was grown. My mom had passed, like I said, we got a lot closer when after my mom passed away. So having the ability to just have real talk with him.
Yeah.
About women and about money and all that. He was telling me about his childhood. I remember having great conversation with him about how my granddad was with him and things that he learned from my granddad. Yeah. And just having those type of conversations with him because we never had, although the relationship was great, we didn't talk about money and we didn't talk about women. We didn't talk about a lot of manly stuff per se, like we're grouping together. Now we can have a conversation about anything. Yeah. I remember have my first drink with him. Mm-hmm. Because before then, I'm hiding, I couldn't do any of that stuff in front of him.
Right.
Even though I saw him doing it, I just had enough respect for him not to do it in front of him. Correct. I think that he even knew that I was doing it. Yeah. But when that day came that we can sit down as men and have a conversation together, I'm pouring my Woodford Reserve and we're talking, and he loved Budweiser. So
you like the fully loaded, huh?
Yeah. So, and we're just sitting there vibing and having a great time.
How simple is that, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about him as a man,
Yeah. that was one of my fondest memories of him being able to. It's like he accepted the fact that now I'm a man.
Yeah.
You know, and he embraced that.
It's the break bread part is so dope, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
JP.
Man, I'm trying to think. Like, I don't really have any accumulation of like a lot of little events. Mm-hmm. But if I had to pick like one, I don't exactly know how old I was. I was probably somewhere between 3, 4, 5 years old. But I think I was having a birthday party, and the way that our backyard was sloped, it was like you open the gate on the left side of the house and it goes down like this kind of like, because it's LA, so there's no real grass, right?
Yeah.
It's just paved. And then the way that our house was set up, like the back used to be, I guess, like a park a long time ago before it was like, they just kept building into it and then eventually got fenced in around. So we had like this larger backyard that was grass. And I remember like my mom told my dad to go, I think she told him to go somewhere, go do something. And so he was leaving. And then I remember like standing next to him by the gate, and just, he picked me up, put me on his shoulder and was carrying me. And I remember like the sun kind of like on the side of my face, and just him hugging me. And like, that's the memory. Nice. Just like him hugging me like right there, like taking me I don't even know. He could have taken me like 6 steps and put me back down. I have no idea what happened. But all I remember is like him picking me up, putting me on his shoulder, the sun hitting me, and I was kind of like, oh, this feels really good.
That feels really good. This is nice.
This is the nicest feeling ever. Let me look. I'm just sitting there thinking about. I can't remember my dad. My dad was a little fella. You know, he was. When I say little, he was 6. He was 6'1", but he was skinny.
Gotcha.
You know, he's a little fella. So
he's a slim dude. He said little. I was thinking he was short.
Yeah, no.
I was like, no.
He's like 6'5", little.
Yeah, he was slim. So picking him, I never had a memory of him picking me up like that. I was always bigger than him. You know, I kind of took after my mom's side.
Yeah,
her brothers and stuff. So yeah, he was a small guy.
The whole point of this, right, is to, you know, keep those memories alive and talk about this and give props and praise to the parents that are still here, right? I was so grateful to have, and really just kind of like isolate or really put a light on the fact that as men, we need our fathers or a father. It doesn't have to be the biological dad, right? But even a mentor or father figure in our lives from when we are tiny.
That's right.
You know, 3 or 4 year old memory, 10 years old getting picked up, breaking bread and having the first drink with your dad, right? Playing golf with your dad, and having those memories of going back to the peanut butter, you know, story.
Jelly,
You know, it's like all of these things. The point is, we need that
and jelly
and peanut butter and jelly on top, right?
Yeah, on top.
Right? Flip it up, you dumbass.
Thank God he didn't say that. I've been terrified.
Yeah, you would have been traumatized. Now I hate peanut butter and jelly. You know, but even with that, the simplicity of the wisdom.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Without making you feel stupid about it. Correct. And you just like, and then it took you to go, that's brilliant. And okay, I see how simple that was.
That's why I brought it up.
I was exaggerating my crazy reaction, but yeah, this was simple. Thanks for solving that.
Right.
Right. So whatever it is, and or even me looking at my neighbor, right, going, damn, I wish, you know, my dad would come around and hang out and cut my yard because he's not retired. Or when I look at you guys, these are the things that I've always looked at. You know, I remember coming to your dad's funeral, Willie. I wasn't going to miss it, bro. Because I remember when that happened, and I remember just, again, kind of like I feel like when I talk to Chuck, like I feel like I know your dad like a lot because I hear so much about it. And you talk about the lessons that he imparted on you as well. We'd be talking, we'd be in a sales office, and you say, well, you know, my dad always said, you know, it seems to be a common theme where Willie would start with my dad said, or my dad always said, and I'm just like, damn.
Yeah.
Always wishing that we had that. So from the time we're toddlers all the way through really our entire lives, where your dad now becomes your friend, your best friend, which is what you have now, Jabari, which is amazing. Talking to him every day, just like getting a bunch of calls. The point is, we need that. Like we need it, always will need it, right? Whether it's true memories or like I'm having to do, thank God for an extremely overactive imagination because I create things that aren't even there. I feel like I'm on Star Trek where I just go into a simulation. I go, all right, Dad. And then boom. And there's, you know, I imagine it. I'd be in the car thinking about, I'm listening to a song, for example. I know how you would criticize that song. I know how you would break it down and talk about major keys and minor keys. And I'm just like, yeah, that's something, you know, he would say. And so now this leads me to my next question, which is, all the great influence that our dad has had on our lives, how is it impacting our relationships? We all have sons, right? So it's perfect because, we have daughters, but let's talk about how we are with our sons. I guess I'll start because I have two sons, right? Yeah. One's 19 and one's 13. They're both much duller than I am. It's crazy. Even a 13-year-old, I'm looking up to this little dude. I'm like, what's going on? It's pretty crazy. But for one thing, golf, making sure they play. I can't make sure they play, but I'm like pushing them so much, like begging them, like, can y'all please pick this up? Right. Especially that they are natural athletes, like they're good at stuff, right? Yeah. Just so I can have that fellowship with them later on. But kind of like how your dad did to you, like he would explain things. Yeah. I talk so much. Maybe I talk too much, right? Because I'm not hitting my kids at, obviously not the grown up, right? But even my 13-year-old son, I was like, it's been years, like I stepped into his life. Actually, he's my stepson, but that's my boy, right? Stepped into his life when he was, just 10 years old. The whole point was like, I would talk to him so much. Like I want him to understand how that impacted someone else, right? What it did, etc. So for me, even though I talked about it earlier, I said, look, my dad taught me what not to do, right? Because I encourage them. I tell them they're amazing. I tell them they're great. I won't lie to them, right. Because my son used to be like, I want to be a superstar soccer player. And I was like, you're not putting in the work. So you're not. Right. So you can, right. But not while you're going to sit on your ass and wish for it. Yeah.
You're not that guy. You're not that guy.
you got to do something. And my son now, my youngest son, Preston, he wants to be in the NBA. And I'm like, again, you got to put in the work. We got you a hoop, but I need you to be out there at 3:00 in the morning, dribbling and doing all kinds, putting 500 shots before you go take a shower in the morning. If you're not doing that, don't talk to me about that, because the kids who are going to be in the NBA,
that's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing right now. And you're already years behind. Right. So I talk to them perhaps a little too much at times because I find myself over lecturing. And it's obviously it's out of love. I'm talking to them, explaining how it impacts, so my relationship with them is one where I talk a lot. It's one where there's always a lesson. It's one where I'm basically going, here's what my dad didn't do. It's showing them love. My oldest son, my youngest son is more of a stoic. Right, so he's not like with the whole "I love you" shit. Right, this kid is just like straight cold. Right, he's just too cool for it. My oldest son, he gets made fun of because he still calls me daddy. So like he's on Instagram, "I love you too, daddy," because I'll be like, "What's up? Happy birthday, son." He's like, "I love you too, daddy," and other dudes are like, what grown man is calling his daddy?
I was that guy.
Yeah, because he gets made fun of in college for it. And he had to come back. He was like, "Hey, man, you see what they were making fun of me because of this?" And I'm just like, I didn't make you call me daddy on social media, but I appreciate it. But we never leave each other's company. We never hang up without saying I love you, right? Yeah. And that relationship I want it to be even tighter. And I want that with my boys, man. There's nothing like having your two best friends be your sons. Like it's amazing. That so I want that, and it's what I've learned. So. Yeah, my style of discipline is one where I over lecture, and I keep that relationship tight. I talk to them. I'm interested in what they're interested in. I don't knock them down, because I've been knocked down a lot when it comes to like, man, you're not good enough and things like that. Yeah. So that's what I've learned, and I watch. I also watch I watch friends. I watch other people to see how they're doing it and see how I can improve my relationship with my boys. So how has your relationship with your own dads influence the way you're raising your boys specifically?
I'm gonna share this real quickly. There's a quote that he instilled in me, and I live by this quote. It's glass, china, and reputation. Those are three different things. Glass, china, and reputation are easily broken, but never well mended. What that means is, you see the glass up there, you see the china, stuff like that. When you crack it, you see that crack. You see what I'm saying? So the same way you crack your reputation out in this world, they're always gonna remember you for what you fucked up on, what you've done wrong. Yeah. And so I carry that to the point where it's even in my senior year yearbook of a quote. I said the exact same thing. And so I have instilled that to my children at that time, that saying quote. They don't remember it, of course, but that's how I live. That's how I live my life, to as if that mirror is, I want my mirror without being cracked. You know what I'm saying? That's my reputation. That's how I want to move in this world. Glass, china, and reputations are easily broken, but never well mended. So I instilled that whole thing from my pop to live the life I live now and who I am now.
Yeah.
Well said,
man.
bro.
Yeah,
well said.
I'm going to go into that because what I have to say is somewhat similar to that. My dad was big on integrity.
Yeah.
He was big on, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Be a man of your word. And I talk to my son about that. That's important. Like I said, my name is important to me. You know, living up to what they did or exceeding things that they did is very, very important to me. Son, have your own stuff. You know, it's so many men, you know, get with women and they move into their places or driving their cars and all that different type of stuff. You know,
you said men. Men don't do that.
Well, boys.
Yeah.
Boys, they do that. My thing was, listen, son, have your own. If you have your own, you don't have to worry about anybody taking anything from you. Get it, work hard for it, and then show somebody else how to do it. You know, do the same thing that you're doing. So my biggest thing with him is to work hard for everything that you get. I'm so big, and like he wanted to go out on a date with this girl. At this time, he didn't have a car. And she had a car. I wouldn't let him go on a date because he didn't have a car. I said, you don't need to go out on a date riding another one in her car and she's taking you. Don't do that. We're going to get you a car. If she's still around.
Oh, I would have been devastated. Or man, how long?
Do like what you did when you were 11 years old. Just take the car. Steal the car.
Yeah, I definitely didn't want
So
him
I
to
could
do
take
that.
it.
And then, you know, we get you a car and then you can take her out. If not her, you can take someone else out. I don't want to ever put him in a situation or he be in a situation where he has to depend on somebody else, especially not depend on a woman. You know, if it took maybe the first 7 years of my marriage really to allow my wife to wash my clothes. I did everything myself because I never wanted anyone to say they did something for me.
And the typical man, when it comes to anything like that at home, they'd be like, that's expected. They expected her to do that, but you would even do that for yourself.
Yeah, I did it for myself.
And that was from lessons from your dad.
That was lessons from my dad. Have your own. Do your own. When you feel comfortable enough to allow somebody to do something for you, then at that point you do it. But until then, you do it yourself. And that's just how I was brought up, and that's kind of what I had him do.
The question is, do you the laundry?
I let her do it now.
That's what I needed to hear right now.
Yeah, she does it now. You know, I don't have a problem with it. We're 17 years in.
Yeah.
But the first 7, that was kind of hard.
I wash my own clothes.
You wash your own clothes?
Yeah. Just because my wife washes her own clothes and they sit on the floor in a hamper for days and days and days. Yeah. And I don't want to, show up to life with wrinkled clothes on.
Yeah.
So I wash my own clothes.
That's funny.
How about you, Steph? You wash your
I
your own
find
clothes?
well, my wife works.
Well, I mean, when y'all
lot.
are together.
But yeah, no, she's I usually do it, man. I don't know how many item of clothing that she's bought 17 times because she forgets she has it because she just takes it off and she throws it somewhere and so she ends up buying another one. So yeah, if I want her to stop buying more shit, I wash it.
Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I don't have a problem doing it. I wash clothes sometimes too, but she's so much better at it than me.
Oh no, listen, I don't do it fucking well. I'll tell you right now. Like if you want your shit done right, I'll throw it in and it comes out.
She wants to separate this with this, and then now I'm throwing all this.
Everything goes in together. Everything goes in. Everything. You want it done the right way. Well, it ain't me. Cause
it ain't me.
Yeah. There's no light colors and dark colors. It's all colors. Yeah.
You dry clean the good stuff.
Exactly.
Your pink is gonna be black eventually.
Well, I'm a little spoiled, guys. She washes my clothes and she knows without me even speaking about what shirts did not dry, so it won't shrink up. As we get older, our stomachs are getting a little bigger. So
speak for yourself, bro.
It's like
let me suck mine in real quick.
Right.
Yeah, bro.
So
could you tell I sucked mine in?
Yeah. It worked, Willie. It worked.
Yeah, it's funny, man. But
so.
man.
takeaway, man? What's the lesson that
from my dad?
That you're gonna use with your boy.
So a lot of the
you have one son, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of the golden nuggets that I got from my dad, I got obviously when I was older, and they're more like business related. So, I mean, I can start to drop little breadcrumbs with my son now, but I mean, or my children, I should say.
They're babies.
They're 8, 6, and 4. Like they're not going to get it, right? So it's all good stuff that they will learn one day.
Yeah.
So with my son now, it's just he's crazy. So he's just high energy all the time, has a hard time focusing, ADHD, but he's so smart. He just downloads information. He's always regurgitating information. He's like that kid from Jerry Maguire. He's like that kid, right? He'll just keep firing off information. So I don't want him to lose that because I can tell that his brain kind of works like my brain, whereas he's just gonna be that problem-solving type person. So when he gets older, that business information that I got, he'll then be able to understand it then because it'll make sense. Yeah. If I try to talk to him about now, like, hey, we need to save up, get your credit right so you can get your first rental property, he'd be like, what? Don't you just get a house?
Like, what did just give you a house?
It's like, nah, it doesn't work like that.
Give him 5 minutes, or he'll do some research and come back and did you know that the interest rate was first designed and it just
100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it sounds like that's the kind of kid he is.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Again, fellas, I want to thank you guys for being here. I can't thank you enough. I know this wasn't an easy thing to talk about, but the most important thing that I want to leave with is, again, we've said it before, and then I think it's worth repeating. Men, we need our fathers in our lives.
Yeah.
So if there's a mother somewhere listening, now if the guy's an absolute piece of shit, keep him away. I get it. But if to you he's a piece of shit, but some kind of way there's a piece of him that's decent enough, allow him to be a piece of shit. We can all be good. But if there's a piece of him that is willing to step up and take care of that boy, especially in his life, girls too, obviously, but if he's willing to be part of that kid's life, as long as it's not detrimental to that child, right? Not dangerous in any kind of way, allow that to happen and encourage it and nurture it, because the person who's going to lose at the end, someone like myself, and my mother didn't do that to me, obviously, but he just wasn't there like he could have been. But it's something that we end up seeking later on. It's something that we end up needing and longing for, and you can never get it back. Once it's lost, it's lost. It's gone, it's gone. And as men, it takes a lot of effort for us to be men. It takes a lot for us to be the providers, to be the protectors. And if we are our own worst critics, right? We struggle with that. If we don't do what we think is a good job, we struggle. And part of that, at least I speak for myself, came from the fact that hole has been there in my life for a long time. There were things that I couldn't have learned. There were things that I didn't pick up. There were things that I could have done so much better because I missed that. So I guess I'm speaking more to the men right now to know that they must be present, but I'm also speaking to the women who are no longer with those men to allow that presence to be felt.
Amen.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
So that's going to be it for us for this episode. So we're going to wrap it up, and we'll come back next week, and we're going to be discussing a little bit of what's happening in today's world with a recent election, how it's impacted us, and who. Man, that's a whole lot to talk about. So I appreciate you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys for listening, and we'll talk again next week. See you back. Manhood matters, baby. Let's get it. From our perspective, raw and true, a podcast for all, but our point of view.